Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the program. As always, my name is Rachel Aroture. Today I will be discussing about an interesting topic that I have titled Belief System. I decided to talk about this topic today because of a lot of things that I have seen going on around the world, a lot of happenings, a lot of, how sometimes some things happen and we are always very quick to throw stones as to why they happened the way they did. Why was it not done in the way that we would have felt that was right? Okay, even the Bible says that there's a way that always seems right unto man, right? So now, majority of the things that we are used to as being right or stereotype, most of them are being affected by our belief systems. That's the reason I decided to talk about our belief systems today. So first of all, I will start by explaining from my notes here what belief system is all about. From here, I have that belief system is an ideology or set of principles that helps us to interpret our everyday reality. This could be in form of religion, political affiliations, psychology, philosophy, and spirituality, amongst other things. These belief systems have, in the time past, it has shaped and influenced a number of different things that we have done. A lot of factors can be involved in this. So now the question is, why do we have to change our belief systems? Remember that the ultimate goal for our belief system is to ensure human survival. A situation whereby we have belief system that alters human survival, it negatively affects the survival of the human race. I feel it's that time where we have to change a lot of all these things. Okay, so that's the reason I decided to talk about this today. Of all of this belief system, the cultural evolution happens quicker, even faster than, the biological ones. Reason being that you will discover that sometimes some of the things, our belief system, there was somebody that said something to me sometime that you can take a village person out of a village, but you cannot take the village out of a village person. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me take that again. You can take a village girl out of the village, but you cannot take the village out of the village girl. So it tells you how far, how long and how far our belief systems has gone ahead of us to channel some of our intentions, some of the things we do. It has channeled a lot of things it has affected a lot of things that we do as human beings. For example, I will talk about our religious belief system, even though I know there are a lot of other ones which are like religious belief system, spiritual belief system, political belief system, sexuality and other dating factors and all whatnot. So sometimes I'm sure we must have realized that, I don't know if it's only me. Have you ever wondered why, for instance, sometimes I used to ask myself that how come, for instance, I grew up in the north, right? I lived some parts of my life in the northern part of Nigeria. Most times I always ask myself that how come this man, as educated as he is, he still goes ahead to marry 2 wives? How come this medical doctor still goes ahead to marry even 3 or 4 wives? You begin to ask yourself these questions, but you will discover that sometimes it's not even their fault. It is the belief system that they are already used to. Also, there was a time I heard the story about the people of a particular part of Nigeria to say that, oh, this particular set of people, they don't eat ogbono soup. And I'm like, why? So they were like, in the time past during the war, they discovered that while they were running away, that this particular ogbono is a food, by the way, that is a soup that is predominantly eaten by the eastern part of Nigerians. I know a lot of people do that, but I think it's an eastern food in Nigeria. So I was like, why do a particular set of people don't eat this thing? How come they don't eat it? They said, oh, after they ran during the time of the war, they discovered that their footprints, which would have pointed to the enemies in the direction to which they ran, this particular food started growing on their footprints, meaning that this particular weed or this particular plant that was growing on their foot was something that, masked. I don't know the word to use right now. It's more like it didn't let the enemy know where they were hiding. I don't know if that makes sense. So now the reason why they don't eat it is because for the fact that this particular plant saved the enemies from knowing where they live, they decided to start worshiping that particular plant. So you see that these things have been passed from generation to generation. So I don't know if that's still applicable in that part of Nigeria, but that's just one of the cultural things I'm talking about. Also, now I want to ask a question of how does our belief system affect us? It's funny to even know that sometimes we don't even know that some of the things we do, some of our actions are being channeled by our belief system. There was a story my husband told me many years ago. He told me of a situation where let me not be too exact, okay? But he said a particular time while he was growing up, there was this lady that she was elderly, of course, and looks like she was suffering from dementia. By the way, dementia is a general loss of memory that happens, especially in the elderly. It can happen to anybody. It's not race sensitive. It's not gender sensitive. So when this happens, their thinking abilities, their problem solving skills becomes altered. An elderly person can just wake up and just start walking away. By the time she realizes herself, she must have realized that she must have walked maybe tens of miles away. She won't even know where she's coming from and where she's even going to. So it happened that this particular elderly lady, of course, she was demented at that point in time from the way the story sounded. So she walked far away and she could not trace where she was coming from and where she was going to. It looks like she's a human being. So it looks like when she got tired, she just sat down somewhere and probably was just trying to regain consciousness as to where am I coming from or where am I going to. And of course, when all these kind of things happen, I think I have talked about this story. I've written about this story on my Facebook page. So the original owners of the house where she sat at the back of a house. So when the original owners of the house woke up in the morning, when they saw her sitting down there, nobody wants to see an elderly woman sitting down at the back of a house. The first thing they do when they wake up in the morning. And guess what happened? This woman was beaten, she was assaulted. At the end of the day, she was beaten to death and she was burnt to death. Now, the family members started looking for her. It was when they started looking for her, that was when they realized that somebody now said, oh, they saw an elderly woman being beaten in many streets away. You get? And they realized that, people had mistaken that woman who was demented to say she was a witch and all whatnot. And at the end of the day, now that she was beaten to death, right? Fine, I understand that majority of these people who did all of these things, they might not understand the fact that this woman is elderly and there's something we call dementia, and thankfully I'm grateful to God that majority of people are beginning to understand some of these things now. But for those who don't understand it, I think it's that time where we have to start changing some of our belief system to know that not everything we see as superstitious. There are some things that we should make inquiry about. There's some things that we should ask questions. Like I said initially to say, why our belief system is important as to we have to, belief system is something that we have to talk about it, because the moment where our belief systems start to alter human survival, it doesn't make sense. It's something that we have to start making a deliberate decision on how to change. It doesn't have to be one day. If you know me so well, you will know that I'm a stickler for baby steps. I always encourage baby steps because I believe so much that practice makes perfect. Even me, there are some belief systems that I also have that I know I am already working on that I need to change. Okay, so I remember this story some time ago. So I started asking myself a lot of questions to say, what if it happened, right, that the reason why this woman was demented, it could be any reason, anything could have made her demented. For God's sake, a lot of things are going on in the world right now. Let me use my grandmom who has passed away many years ago. Let me use her as an example. I remember my mom was telling us a story some time ago that she had brothers, meaning my grandmom had a son that was in the military that went for all these peacekeeping missions, but he never came back. That was her first child, for God's sake. So when this happened, she said when the news came back, when the other military people came back and they realized that she realized that her son was not part of those that came back. Of course, the other ones will always come back to tell her that, oh, Mama, see, your son did not come back. Unfortunately, he did not make it back after the war. According to what she said, was the fact that her mom said that she knows she will not survive it, because do you know what it feels like as a mother to lose your first child? A lot of all these things can come together to affect this elderly woman mentally. Okay, this was my grandmom. I'm just giving you an example so that you understand where I'm coming from. So the woman was already, some part of this, my grandmom was already dead, knowing that her son died in the war. He never made it through. Again, some time ago, while her second son was coming back, maybe, I don't know where he was, but I know they said he was driving back home, and they just discovered that he kneeled on the steering and he died. Nobody knows what happened. It could have been anything. It could be high blood pressure. It's multifactorial. It could have been anything. Now, this elderly woman has lost two of her sons. What do you want to explain to this woman again? She has experienced pain firsthand. Just imagine that before this kind of a woman gets to mid-age, like 50 years, she becomes demented, will you wonder why she's not coordinating well mentally? She has every reason to be demented because she has gone through a life, a life very crucial experience that she cannot even forget. So that you can imagine, I don't know, I'm just saying, I don't know what happened to this elderly lady that I said was demented and she was burnt to death, okay? Now you can imagine the kind of pain that woman must have gone through that must have led to this dementia. Has it ever occurred to us that some of all these things that we do, okay, some of these things, they are affecting the human race, they are affecting human survival. So whatever you have as your belief system might not necessarily be this one, it could be anything, but just have it in mind that any belief system that you have that is affecting the survival of the human race, I feel like it's that time where we need to change it. We need to start making a deliberate decision as to how these things can be changed. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to talk for this long a time, but I've talked about what the belief systems are, how it affects us negatively, how we can change it. And also, I read from a poet of unknown name. He said, each time you write a page, you are a writer. Each time you practice a violin, you are a musician. Each time you encourage your employee, you are a leader. So change does not come in one day. You can make a deliberate decision little by little how to change. You might not be a professional when it comes to, it comes to those things, but I believe that taking baby steps somehow will affect our belief system. It will affect the way we treat people. It will affect the way we make decisions. I hope you have been able to get the moral of this lesson, which is, let us start changing our belief system, because I feel like most of our belief systems, they are damaging to us as human race. Thank you so much for taking our time to listen to my message today, and I'll catch you on my next episode. Have a good day.